you like the values that we have in relation to them, and it gives you this is a nice like short. So here's some of the values that we have. The core values are service to others, social justice to like help people find things, the dignity and worth of a human person. That's another one. Importance of human relationships. You may already find that in your life. That's something that you value. Integrity, like to do what you say and say what you'll do. And then finally, competence. And so that's just like the quick brief of it. Let's say you dig deeper in and you get into some of our ethical principles. That's where it shows you our values matched up with. So the value service. Social workers' primary goal is to help people in need and to address social problems. And here, this is maybe why you got into social work in the first place. Social workers elevate service to others. Oh wow, that moved it kind of fast. Service to others above self-interest. Social workers draw on their knowledge, values, and skills. That's what you guys get right now. So as you're trained in college, you get that knowledge, value, and skills to help people in need and to address social problems. We're encouraged to volunteer some portion of our professional skills with no expectation of significant financial return. And that's the pro bono stuff. Value here, if you want to social justice, they say one of our ethical principles here is social workers challenge social injustice. So here it says social workers pursue social change, particularly with and behalf of vulnerable and oppressed individuals and groups of people. Social workers' social change efforts are focused primarily on issues of poverty, unemployment, discrimination, and other forms of social injustice. That's why we work with the populations that we do. Maybe you went on to this dignity and worth of the person. So the ethical principle is social workers respect the inherent dignity and worth of the person. We treat each person in a caring and respectful fashion, mindful of individual differences and cultural and ethnic diversity. Social workers promote socially responsible self-determination. That's a tricky word, actually. I had to ask my morning class. Anybody want to take a stab at the definition of what is self-determination? It's a tough one. So, no, what's that? I couldn't hear you totally. So what'd you say?
You self-determine?
Well, yeah, you determine things. So we let people make a determination on things themselves. Like they get to make their own choices. They get to, they can make the wrong choices. And that goes on to even the next one. Well, importance of human relationships. So, or the dignity of the person. One example we gave here, kind of the opposite of self-determination, is if we tried to control them in certain ways. And I feel like we looked up a pretty good video here. Does anybody know, like in another country, they have something called, let me get it for you, the social credit system. You guys ever heard of social credit system? It kind of like digs in. It will follow you on your phone. It'll see how long you text for. It'll see who you're talking to. It'll see who. And there's a quick short video that's helpful in this about the social credit system that's coming to China. This is kind of like the opposite of self-determination. So there's a good video in here. It takes a minute to load an advertisement, but it might let me play it because I've already played it. So luckily, we still have some of these freedoms in America, although some people would say that this is coming to America soon too, so we might not have as much self-determination. It like tracks you.
Where she goes, Oweek Hallyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, A person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. And Hallyu, with a good score of 752, is okay with it. In fact, most people are.
The mechanism pushes you to become a better citizen.
It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens.
就是针对
Thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and facial recognition, and a web of more than 200 million surveillance cameras.
People bothered by privacy concerns.
we think the long term keep the safety is really good. We can accept it.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits, and scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking.
So
Video of offenders is shown.
that example is it said even gossip in there. So like they got your phone, they're monitoring who you're texting, if you're gossiping about them, if you walk across the road without the white light or the green light that comes on. We don't operate as strongly here like this in America, where like you're docked or they don't let them get on a plane or take like a train ride or something. We're also not far from it either. You know what I mean? Because everything we type in our texts and emails, it's all seen by somebody else. You know what I mean? I know that used to be like the big paranoid thing to say, but like all of our phones have a backdoor device. Like the NSA can upload it. Whomever is watching. Of course, usually they don't interfere as much, but in China, they're kind of taking it to a new level where they do interfere, and they like your loan is determined on how much you gossip, texting to friends or whatever. It's
From
weird.
the local news. And information collectors like Joe I.D. are paid to report on their neighbors. Her quota, 10 entries a month. Like the man who carried a drunk person home. A good deed, she says. Good social credit gets rewarded with perks like cheap loans and travel deals. But a bad score means public shame and worse. Huang Weijun lost a court case and didn't pay. Now he's on a government blacklist.
比如说
I can't buy airplane or train tickets, he says, and the list goes on. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it, something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it. Janice Mackey for NBC News, Beijing.
So that's the opposite of like a self-determination, where like we still kind of do that more freedom in the States. And like I guess you do have phones now that unlock with your face, right? I don't have one of those, but does it work with mask on or not? No. Really? I'd be like, hey, what's up? So we have the facial recognition stuff going on and kind of different tracking things. Certainly, well, you'll see it on websites. I think it'll say like you have to accept cookies to go shopping on here, whatever it is. So there, and then you have advertisements that pop up right next to you, what you just looked at shopping for, like maybe directing you to a website to buy it there. And you're like, what? How'd they know what I was shopping for? Or you talk about it. That's what creeps me out. You talk about it and you see it on your advertisements on Facebook or something. That's when you know the mic or the camera or whatever is working. Some people are saying what you just saw there in China is coming to the U.S., but this was the only short video I found on this, and it was kind of more in relation to the January 6th.
It can happen when you least expect it. The spark gone rogue.
Opinion contributor Kristen Tate writes, quote, "The new domestic war on terror kicked off by the riot on January 6th has prompted several web giants to unveil predecessors to what effectively could become a soft social credit system by the end of this decade. Relying on an indirect hand from DC, our social betters in corporate America will attempt to force the most profound changes our society has seen during the internet era." Tate continues, quote, "China's social credit system is a combination of government and business surveillance that gives citizens a score that can restrict the ability of individuals to take actions, such as purchasing plane tickets, acquiring property, or taking loans. Because of behaviors, given the position of several major American companies, a similar system may be coming here sooner than you think.
So that's all that I have on this. Obviously, we still have some form of freedoms with our self-determination in the U.S. We were finishing up with stuff you could write about or the paper due at midnight. So code of ethics, like general overview again, it tells us as social workers what our responsibility to clients is, to your colleagues, and this would again probably go to any major. You're going to have a code of ethics, and it'll tell you how to behave with people you work with, people you work for, and then the practice settings. Also, it covers us as professionals, the entire profession of social work, and then to the broader society. And then they kind of start into our next papers on the IFSW, which is the International Federation of Social Work. And that's looking at social work jobs all over the globe. There's several. Any of you guys here been outside of your home country? I guess I should say. You've been, which countries? No, you have. Yeah, that counts. So you got to see some of the differences between America and here, or Canada. Anybody been in Canada? Because you just drive 3 hours north and hit it. So you see how things are done differently, and that's what international social workers get to deal with: the laws in Russia, the laws in the Bahamas, the laws in Canada, or however it is. And then they even have their own ethics in social work, because when you're dealing with refugees or international folks, here's some of the principles again. We believe in acceptance and the individualization, purposeful expression of feeling. This one's always hard, the non-judgmentalism. So again, it's easy to kind of jump in and judgmental to somebody who's in a tough place, which it seems that China is kind of going there by like not letting you get a loan, or like not letting you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, however it is. They automatically, if you do something bad or you're like gossiping too much on your phone text messages or Facebook Messenger service, you know, you're penalized for it. We try to do the opposite, which is non-judgmentalism. So like meet somebody where they are, see what their unmet needs are, starting with the basic needs, and then move them up if they need to get job training or go back to school or help with housing or whatever it may be. And then objectivity, to be objective. Some more ethical principles for social work. We believe in controlled emotional involvement. So that kind of goes back to the not hugging them at the end of a therapy session too much. I mean, we try to stay neutral and be a mirror to there's that self-determination again. So we believe in allowing a person to make their choices, whether we think it's good or bad for them to make that choice. We let them do it. We may recommend opposite or say, you know, it might be better if you did this, but you could go and do that if you would like. Another big one is our access to resources, because we have, you know, especially with the inflation environment that we had. Apparently at midnight last night, one of the largest lenders in China went bankrupt to the tune of $200 billion. So that was as large as what 10 years ago we had the Lehman Brothers collapse. It was more like 12 years. And it was to the anniversary of that date. So on September 15th, 2009, or maybe it was 08, we had the Lehman Brothers collapse, which started the whole economic collapse of 08 and 09 that got us into the recession 12 years ago. Apparently the same thing just happened in China last night at midnight, which was strange. It was the exact anniversary of that. That'll make access to resources harder. It'll make inflation, if we print more money or find ways to fix that, it might make it harder to endure. We also believe in both these confidentiality. So when somebody shares something, somebody this morning shared the beginning of their paper, and they said they believe in helping their friends and giving them an ear to listen to. So it sounds like you would match up with social work confidentiality, because when somebody is sharing something in confidence with you, and you do good as a friend and not go gossip that to everybody else, you believe in that confidentiality, that you want to protect their confidential nature, and you can be a friend that they can trust and lean on. And then finally, accountability. So we do have accountability from our board in social work. If you say, for example, broke confidentiality, you actually can lose your license. So we have to, there's one thing of being a friend and keeping something confidential. When we practice with a license, it's the rule of law that we have to keep things confidential. We can't share to other folks about what's going on with things. And then this was a good chart that kind of broke down the effects of social work values and principles and actions. So on the left side, you see if we follow the ethical principle, we help with our clients' empowerment. If we do the right side, which is the opposite, it's how we kind of do more of victimization and become a victim. So the values in the middle. So the first one is social work values and principles, uphold uniqueness and worth. And that one, if we are empowering our clients, that potential effect we affirm the personhood, we affirm individuality, we appreciate the diversity. And if we didn't do it and we allowed the victimization, we do more of stereotyping, denigration, and labeling, or impotence, or self-fulfilling prophecy. So the barrier is that it's stereotypes, and the potential effect is that self-fulfilling prophecy. And a second one here, so you go down in the middle, it's promote self-determination. That's another one of the social work values and principles. If we do empower our clients, you get efficacy, competence, and a partnership with your client. Also develop alternatives or delineate roles. If we do the opposite of that self-determination thing, which means we let them choose what they will do for themselves on their own without forcing it. The opposite is control, advice, manipulation, and paternalism. We do say that we do not want to be advice givers. We want to kind of look into the facts and give clients their options and alternatives, and then let them choose. So it's not like advice, like you have to go to the homeless shelter now, or you have to go do this. If they want to live on the street, they can certainly live on the street. And then also a potential effect is incompetence, failure to change, and then dependence. We don't want, as social workers, any of our clients dependent on us. We don't want anybody, stuck in that they have to come see us to get well. We want to empower our clients to empower themselves. Also, if this principle here, to communicate non-judgmentally and then with acceptance, we do it well. We have openness and lowered defenses. Somebody will get real with you. We do this by strengths perspective, active listening, and then using empathy. Now, if we didn't do it, the opposite of those would be like blame, pity, and sympathy, focus on deficits. So we want to communicate non-judgmentally and with acceptance. And if we don't do it, one potential effect is that someone gets defensive. There's defensiveness, or there's helplessness even. Then this one here is attain objectivity. And you can incorporate this into your paper if you'd like. It just kind of breaks it down. When we do it, empower our clients with obtaining objectivity, we affirm their rationality, and then we're also gaining perspective. Like they're talking to us, telling us what's going on. We get their perspective. If we aren't being objective, we might have over-identification. I see how that is. I hear what you're saying. I had that same thing happen to me. Or a coldness, or a distance, they see you as a distant social worker. They're like, yeah, they were kind of just texting the whole time, didn't pay attention to me, and full of crap. So you might not get as far with your clients if you don't have that objectivity and open listening. And then the potential effect is it could also lead to bias. Whenever I kick that cable, it wants to turn off. And then even distortion. So those are some of the bad things that come of it. So I like that chart. It breaks it down well. I do want to open it right now, though. Do you guys have any questions about it? be due at midnight, and then I'll try to get the other one in for, it won't be due for 14 days. Ah, it's because it's at the end. All right, and we have and I can only play a bit of it. This is kind of when it picked up that I was playing it on YouTube in the morning class, and then it kind of shut down my YouTube channel like it always does because it's copyrighted. But kind of 3 examples here of poor kids in America and kind of with the recession. This was 10 years ago. Like I said, there's kind of this economic collapse building again where we may have situations with kids in this again. I want to go get my thumb drive upstairs. So I'll start you guys on this. Hopefully there. There we are. So no questions? Okay, that's fine. So these are some potential clients we could see and practicing that non-judgmentalism and like open ear and like empowerment to empower them to empower themselves to like move up. So I guess they get smarter every time I play it, but it's detecting that I'm playing the copyrighted video. But this is just a CBS documentary. Obviously, we're only using it for educational purposes only, and you can see they have some follow-ups of these, but this could be a good example of some of the families we get in when you're interns in the different shelters and the different internship sites that we have closer to the end of our tenure as social work majors. And so tonight the paper is due at midnight. I'm gonna put in the IFSW, and that's for the paper that's not due for another 14 days. So it's the International Federation of Social Workers, and how we do the values and ethics and apply these in our work. These will follow you all the way throughout your career in social work, because we've had so many years to build on those. You see the different ethics grow and change. This is the next assignment. I'll go up here. That's the one due tonight. Values assignment. So again, review the NASW Code of Ethics. We kind of went over how to get into Google Scholar and use different citations to find the Reamer and Dolhoff and ethical principles. That's just a way to show you how to come to the right ethical decision. There's several of those, but these are the 2 that we look at. If you were to cite something, just be sure to go into it's just scholar.google.com, and then maybe type in the NASW code and get, this is a lot easier than trying to cite the websites, because here you can get something that's the last few years by clicking here on since 2017, and you can get recent articles and even download the full text of these articles, which is nice because you can save these on your computer. They're not large files like a picture. They're just kind of like different documents. And if you're to quote them, here's where you would quote it. You click that and go to APA. And if it's a in-text quotation, you would just do like those direct quotations and then put varsity 2017. At the end of the paper, there's references, and then you write the entire APA format. There is also something called the Purdue OWL website. Say you wanted to quote the NASW code, because that is what we were working off of. So this lets you, I like Purdue OWL because you can just like copy the website and go into Purdue OW and then paste it, and it'll show you exactly how to do APA. And there's a lot of websites like this. This is just the most famous. You may have to watch an advertisement to get the exact APA format, but you create a citation by typing that in, hitting cite. It'll usually say join or watch a free advertisement, and you will be able to cite it. So continue. This is also why I like Google Scholar better. But if you are quoting websites, this is a good way to complete citations accurately. But there it is. So then you're able to copy the citation and add that to your paper. So you can like paste it at the end.
Should
Yeah.
we insert it right in the text or in the bottom final page?
Some people do both. So if you do a direct quote, you want to have it in text citation. If you said like,
As it was said in something?
right. If it was said in like Reamer, Dolgoff, ethical principle, ethics are important for social workers to practice ethically, quote, and then you would put like Alameda 2021 or NASW. That's in text citation. This would be at the end of the paper. That's why I'm giving you guys these little shortcuts, because I'm not good at citations or APA, but if you do this to copy a website, or this one I like the best, because literally you can search whatever, maybe even some of the articles and books that are in the website, download the whole thing and own it forever so you don't lose it or forget where you put it, file it away, and save it in like folders that you save throughout your career. For my undergrad program, we had to write a huge 30-page paper at the end, so it was helpful to have stuff like this to save all those articles. I'm jealous you guys have this access to, the scholar.google.com and whatnot, but this is a good article here too. Ethical dilemmas for social workers utilizing the NASW Code of Ethics in rural K through 12 public schools. And I'm certain they quote the code in here and that's how your title page would look. So use that through the rest of graduate school, which is not as fun. But once you learn it, it's kind of easy. It's just usually like the title, your school name, your name, and then the date. That's your title page. You could put abstract in there. You also don't have to put an abstract in there, especially when it's like 3 or 4 page paper. You don't really need the abstract. This actually looks like a dissertation. So any questions on the paper for NASW code, or questions about the code in general? Ethical principles, ethical standards. Oh yeah, remember, your client can always ask no truth about them. And that's always important to see, because it makes you kind of write in an objective way about your clients, not like judgmental way, but more objective and just giving the facts and the details and the observations about them rather than opinions and judgments and things of that nature. So that's one of the good things in the NASW code that they have. I wanted to give you guys some time to work on this. So like for today, this is all that I have, especially since they're cutting off the copyright video. You can watch The America's Poor if that's of interest to you. Just search that. And I'll stay here for questions afterwards. We're hiring a new social work director. So if you guys want to watch her teach, she'll teach in my class next door at 2:30. So everybody's welcome. It'll be this. It's like the room right over, in 49 minutes she'll be teaching. And then you guys can say how you liked her, if you want us to hire her, or if you're like, no way, we don't want her as a director of social work.
So
It's during your class.
so not you, but someone that.
Someone else will teach it online, actually.
She won't come to the classroom?
It's a Zoom.
So, and how would I access?
I'm going to put it, we'll be in the classroom. We will be there, but she'll just teach from the video screen.
Always. So I'm on my last page,
Okay.
which is like the comparing
Yeah.
contrast.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
you said we have to like compare.
Compare and contrast your ethical principles to the NASW Code of Ethics and Principles. Just saying, like, I believe in personal relationships. That's why I like the NASW codes and values that talk about personal relationships. It's like one of the first ones they have. Probably right here. Those 5.
So those
like-
5.
Yeah. Well, and it goes into more detail down here. So it'll be like, I believe in respecting somebody's privacy.
The first one I did was like about the whole NSAW code.
Right.
Where you're from, how
Okay.
who was the person, and then the second one was about like me and my perspective on like social workers and what they done for like the community and stuff, and why they do follow the rules and the codes.
Mhm.
And then my last one is going to be the compare and contrast.
Okay, that sounds good. And then just remember your citations. I guess that's
Yeah.
the tricky part. Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now I should stop this because my computer will die during the